Now, England are through to the quarter-finals of the World Cup. Of course, after beating Senegal 3-0, we can now join our senior reporter, Melissa Reddy, who's in Doha for us.
England's major tournament brilliance continues under Gareth Southgate. A quarter-final awaits them against a very testing France. And to talk me through their last 16 endeavours, I've got Gary Neville with me. Gary, it was a tricky opening period for them, but after that, quite comfortable.
Yeah, it ended up being comfortable, but I always say that when you play these games, the right way to reflect upon them is think about what you said before the game and think about what everybody was thinking before the game, that it would be really tough. That I think the words that we used when we were introducing the match were that we thought England would have to suffer to come through it. You remember 4 years ago against Colombia, it was obviously on the edge of your seat stuff, that really, in terms of penalties. And we expected that last night. I expected it to be a lot tougher, so you've got to give a lot of credit to Gareth and to the players for making it as comfortable as it is, because it's okay now saying, yeah, we had better players. They had a couple of players missing, Kiati and Drissagay through injury and suspension. All these things you can say after the game, but not many people were saying it before the game. Actually, Roy Keane was the only person that was emphatic before the game. He said this will be a really comfortable night and England will win. You know, he said 3 or 4. I didn't hear any English fans say that, and certainly none of the English coaches or media were saying that before the game. So no, well done to Gareth, to the team, for making what was a tricky encounter look quite simple in the end.
We'll get stuck into the performance properly, but one of the things that the camp had to deal with prior to the game, and in particular Raheem Sterling, a very horrid situation for him with that armed robbery with his family at home, his children at home. He's left the camp to go and deal with that. How will he be feeling? Because obviously it's a huge thing. He's so committed to England. There's a chance to do really well in this tournament again, and he's taken the decision to go home because rightly the welfare of his children comes first.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrific. We obviously heard a couple of hours before kick-off that Raheem wouldn't be part of the matchday squad. Didn't know initially what that was actually for and what the reasons behind it. But I think football, what it tells us is obviously that there's still very bad things happening in the world, and we should reflect upon that. But also the way in which football, Gareth, the England team, the English media actually deal with these things now a lot more respectfully, with compassion and empathy, putting football aside, putting people first. That wouldn't have always happened 20 years ago. There would have been probably a different reaction from all sides. The player maybe would have felt that he couldn't go home, that he couldn't probably, to be fair, feel comfortable to have that discussion. The manager and the sort of staff might have been a little bit more sort of what would be, well, what can you do there? We'll look after your family and stay here. We've got a game to win. And the English media probably would have treated it differently as well. So I think we're all in a better place to be able to deal with it properly. But all our thoughts, obviously, with Raheem and his family.
Back to England, a quarter-final, France the opponents. But before we get stuck into what to expect from France, talk me through Jude Bellingham's performance.
Absolutely brilliant performance. It's easy to talk about the goals, the impact on the goals and the sort of way in which obviously he contributed in that way, but I thought even in the first 10-15 minutes of the game, I always think when games are at the most difficult for your team, who is the player then that sort of, if you like, stands out? And he stood out in England's most difficult part of the game, I felt, which I think is equally pleasing as the actual part where England were on top and he just looked like a sensation. The thing for me is that obviously we've become obsessed over the last 10 or 15 years with trying to describe what type of midfield player every midfield player is. You get put into boxes, you're compartmentalised into you're either a holding player, you're a box-to-box player, or you're a goal-scoring midfield player, or you're a number 10. This lad can do everything, absolutely everything, and they're very unique players. I was in the studio last night with one Roy Keane that could do everything. I think Steven Gerrard could do everything. I mean, you could defend, he could pass, he could attack. These are very, very unique talents in world football, and ones that I played with, and that's what he reminds me of. And for me to put him in that category, that is really high praise, because you couldn't make me talk any higher than sort of about those types of players, about their ability to basically contribute in different areas of the pitch. So, yeah, How at 19 he's delivering it, though, is the unique part, because, like I say, Roy Keane wasn't delivering it at 19, and neither was Steven Gerrard. It was a little bit later. What he's doing now in a World Cup, I've not seen before. It's breathtaking, and something that ultimately will attract, I'm sure, a lot of interest from English Premier League clubs.
England have shown they can endure periods in games, they can enjoy periods in games, clean sheets, midfield clicking, scoring goals, yeah. Harry Kane on the score sheet as well. So how do you rate that battle against France?
I just think it's one of those games of a lifetime on Saturday. I think back to my own career when I played in games like that, in Euro 96 or in 2004 and 6. We played against Portugal with Figo and Ronaldo in the wide areas. In 2004. 2006 it was Cristiano playing on the right hand side, it was Senegal playing on the left, and think of these games that are once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime opportunities. And thinking about England on Saturday playing against France on a Saturday night in a World Cup quarter final, they don't come around in your life very often. They don't, honestly. They are big moments. I can't wait for it. I don't think the lads will be able to wait for it, and I'm not taking the pressure off us and saying that France are favourites, England are underdogs, all that sort of stuff. But this is a game we can lose. We know that. They've got incredible players. They're world champions. They're a fantastic team. So we can go and enjoy it. I always think when you're playing in a game like this, in some ways, it puts less pressure. It's less pressure than actually the games whereby you're playing against, say, a Senegal. Because Senegal, you get knocked out, all hell breaks loose for the coach, for Gareth, for the staff, for the FA, for the players. You lose on Saturday, unless it's an absolute shambles, which it won't be, I don't think. You're going to come out of the tournament. I think quarterfinals par. I used to think that quarterfinal was par, second round's bogey, and you're going to have a few issues. You might get through it, but you're going to have to recover quickly. For quarterfinals par, semi-finals a birdie, finals an eagle, and win it, it's an albatross.